Hi everyone, let's go live now. So we will first look at what happened last time, what we did yesterday, and take a quick recap of what's happening and what we will be doing today, and then we will go ahead with the next one. Is that format okay? So this is what we are gonna do now. Let me switch off my notifications on phone so that it is not gonna be disturbing today. And also today we will be having a short session because of the delay which happened. Are you okay? So are you all able to hear my voice? It looks like Lakshman is not able to hear my voice. I could see a lot of people can hear my voice. Lakshman, are you still okay?
बताओ लक्ष्मण बोल लक्ष्मण है
Okay,
बोल
so
लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण लक्ष्मण
okay, let's go ahead with today's session now. So yes, so the first thing is yesterday we were looking at a lot of things related to superb. Okay, a lot of you were able to hear me. So it looks like a lot of yesterday what we were discussing was on the display topic. Display is one of the main things in box model where you will be looking into a lot of what do you say? Display contains the way the elements are laid out in the DOM. The first thing which you will commonly find as a display is the display block, and the basic one in display is inline. And now finally we are gonna look into other things like inline block and how we can use the displays. This is what we saw yesterday. Today we will be trying to cover floats. Floats are something where I'm not sure if this is floats can be said in a double-edged sword kind of a thing. So we will be looking at how floats work and then how, where and which place we will be using floats today. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me share my screen. So hope everyone is able to see my screen. So can you all tell me if you are able to see my screen? Let me also check the participants so that I can see that you guys are here, and I'll also open the chat too.
Yes, we can.
Thanks. Great, thank you. So now let's quickly jump into what exactly floats are and how we can use floats. Okay, so we saw that this is the inline version, inline block and block, where inline block is gonna have both the qualities of inline and as well as block. Okay, now let's quickly go into a normal thing. So here we've got like um, so this is another use case which I totally forgot to say. Let's say we have an image or something like that, and we want to like kind of like wrap around something, wrap around it using a kind of like a shadow or like a border or something like that. In that case also you can do like a you can have two block level elements and you can use an inline block as a parent. So the whole thing will act as an inline block. That is actually a good idea. So this is something related to how rows and columns are created. The inline block will be the column while the block level elements will be the rows inside the columns. So that will also be a good possibility, good use case, since all our basically our computer is like a row based entity, right? So every layout that we create is all completely row based, nothing is column based. So we can use something like inline block to like force it into a column based one. So that's about row wise rows and columns using inline block. Now let's go into floats. So floats are a special again they are like kind of like a special one. So inside the floated parent, you could see that um, parent is not cleared. Okay, I'll tell what exactly is clearing the floats. It's called the opposite of floats. So when the parent is not cleared or there is no uh, floating, I mean, like when both the children are floated, you can see that this parent has disowned its kids. So the parent says that you both are not my kids anymore. That's what it kind of means. The reason why I say is, if you go check out here, let's try to inspect this guy. Okay, so you can see that these two are children here, and even though they are children, they have this much height in them. So the top one has a 50 pixels of height and the bottom one has another 50 pixels of height. So the parent has some 50 plus 50 plus another few 50s or whatever it is, it's coming up to 132. It's actually 130. um just a second, even Ayush is not able to hear. Ayush, what's happening? Are you able to, like, okay, when he's not able to hear, I can't like tell him to try checking your sound settings. Who's anyone here? Anyone from InternWell, please? Okay, looks like no one is there actually. Fine. I would uh, I would actually say Ayush to check his sound settings. Fine. So now, if you see here, the whole parent knows that there is this child. So this parent gets wrapped around the child. Now let's try using another child here. For example, if I try to create another child, this you can see that this parent actually expands to hold all the child, right? Let it be this one, or even if you take this one, we can clearly see that if I try to put another child here, the parent is happily expanding its boundaries to accommodate another child. So this now this parent knows that there are like three children and children under me, and I need to make sure every single child is accounted for. So it is, that's how it shows like this. But whereas in case of this floated parent one, so I'm gonna click on the top one here. So this is the parent one. So even though the children are inside here, the parent doesn't even know that the children exist. The moment you do a floating here, the child is thrown away from the default um, order of the DOM. At this point of time, what you need to do, what we need to tell the parent is, hey parent, there are children. So, but to make the parent understand that there is a children inside this is by either by giving a clearing. So float is the, so clear is the opposite of floats. So we here we give clear both, so that at this point of time, if there are any previous floated elements, they get cleared. So at this point we have these two things. Now you could see that um, if you open this one, we have three elements. So this is the parent, this is the first child, this is the second child. By the way, another thing is, if you are doing a floating, the margins do not collapse. So if you are trying to do float and if you find that, okay, it is working only in the vertical method and it doesn't kind of like collapse on the horizontal way, then it doesn't happen on the horizontal collapsing. Only on the vertical collapsing it works. So this is one main reason why some people are like confused. So a lot of times people try to like use that numbers, like whatever we have here, they don't try to multiply the number by 2. For example, in this case, it is just 1, right? But here you could see that both these two things are like using the margins, left and right margins are not collapsed here. And at the same time, even in this case of inline block elements, the right margin of this element and left margin of this element is not collapsed. The reason, because it is treated as text, and inside the text there is also another, this space is also there. uh, Actually, having a space inside an inline block will give you the worst nightmare possible, but I'll come back to it later. I'll tell you why, how we can fix it when we do later part, when we are working with other big things. Now, next thing is, what we are going to do is we will be looking at the ways of clearing the float. So the first one we just saw, we create another div which has a property clear both. The problem with this is, so this is a div, yes, it is going a floated item, this is a floated item, and then immediately we have a div which kinds of like clears every float, and it's going to take up the full width. You can see that the width of this div is 622 by 0. So since it is 0 width, it doesn't mean that it is not existing. It is existing. So that is the problem right now. So most of the times the problem comes in this format. So you need to clear anything, but at the same time you can't put an extra div or something like that. So we need to use the CSS approach. Then we have this clear floated child approach. So this one uses another method called overflow hidden. When the parent, this is almost similar in the what do you call this, in the HTML structure between the normal floated child versus this CSS based overflow hidden floated child. When you add this property overflow hidden, it's gonna act like it knows the contents of it. So right now what the only difference here is this overflow hidden. If I get rid of that, it is acting similar to what was this here. So this is really helpful in case of when we are having no menus like a drop down menu or something. Like for example, this one is a drop down menu, and if you do an overflow hidden here, this is gonna be screwed up. So let me show you in live what exactly is happening here. So I select this panel thing, and inside this panel this one comes up, right? So we have all these things now, and I guess this is the controls stuff, and this is the nav bar. So if I put like overflow hidden here, you can see that you can't see this menu. The menu is actually there, but unfortunately the menu is not visible due to this overflow hidden nature. If you get rid of this, you can see the menu actually. So that is the one of the disadvantages of this particular method. The first method, we have like a extra div. The second method, these kind of layout menus will not happen. Then they found out a different method using a clear float. Like for example, in this case, what we are doing is we are giving an, so this one is like a, okay, this one has two different versions. So there is like overflow hidden on that, and then we are also having two different sides we can float. Okay, then first the better way of doing this is using CSS. Let's say if we are not using the overflow hidden here, it's gonna go boom. This is this is not gonna work here. Now what we are gonna do is, instead of using this, we want to use another one, but it's gonna be an after pseudo element. And for after to work, we need to do a content here. So content will make this thing appear inside this part. So this actually acts like a div or anything. This after code is called as a pseudo element. This you cannot clearly see in the document model, but you will be definitely able to see inside the source, like the inspector. In this content, once you have got this content, let's do a display block so that it acts like a div. And the only thing we need to do is clear both. So the moment you do this, the whole thing is also again cleared and it looks perfect. So these are the different ways, and this is the most effective way in creating the clearing of all these floated elements. And this doesn't create a new file, sorry, new element. It doesn't have overflow hidden, so that you can also add some more menu items or flyout items in that. So this actually fixes most of the things. And there is a global concept called as clear fix. Clear fix is one which is using this after pseudo element. Now we are talking about a lot of things called pseudo element, and what is this after and what is this before. There are two things actually. There is one thing called after and there is one thing called before. Let me show you with a basic example. Okay, so let me go to JSBin again, and then we are gonna go to something like a normal div, and I'm gonna say hello. Okay, with this div, if I have an after, and it has a content. That is the main thing. And content can be anything. So now it has actually got something inside it. I'll tell you how it actually works. So before, after, I'm going to do a before first. And there is after as well here. So before, you can say, so it's going to show you it this way. So you could see that in this case, you have only got hello inside here, but this has everything like, hey, hello, InternWells. And if I try to do a select all, I'm not able to find a select all. Okay, so if I try to do a select all, command A or control A, you can only select this one. These things are not even selectable. Like even if I try to select this, only this hello is getting selected. So this is an element that is actually present, but it is not actually present. That is the way it is gonna behave. So that is the reason we say it as a pseudo element. And if you inspect it here, you can clearly see that the div that has an before and that has an after. And then in this style sheet, you can clearly see that there is a content which is going to be in the InternWell, and this one has a content called hey. If I do a display block here, it's going to have its own size, own place, and everything. Like it is going to have its own stuff. So the main reason why we use this pseudo elements are to kind of like help us with what are all possibilities. Like for example, let's say this is the hello, and then we have got two pseudo elements and also our div as well. So for div, I'm going to give position relative. And okay, I'm sorry about including positions here, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you start knowing what exactly positions are, then this will be really helpful, because we can use positions to make a lot of things possible. Again, positions is going to be an advanced topic which is going to be taken in the next session. But positions are like extremely powerful. So you can place anything anywhere, and please never use positions in the wrong places. Like for example, I have seen people who have everything in the same line, and then they put positions to like position everything. And I have also seen people who have used pre-tags and then kind of like positioning things. Like for example, they use pre-tags, and this is hello, then we need something in the center, right? So they'll be putting something like this is centered, and then there is like left justified thing or something like that. So this is not what we need to use with HTML, and HTML is more powerful than these people think. I have seen people using this is centered, and then we can use something like they were using something like adding these things like this, and this is right, something like this. So this is not what they are used for. So but yeah, so positions, again, they can be misused as well as used in the right way. Positions we will come later. So this is about floats, and mainly this is about float, and this is about the pseudo elements. Float is mainly used for displaying two different things at the same place. For example, let's consider something like a what do you call this, we will consider something like a form where you will be able to give your details or something like that. So let's say this is the parent, and we have our avatar, and then we have a text, and inside that we have a h1, and there is a paragraph which has a lorem, and this whole thing is actually thrice. Okay, we've got something like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use dot parent, which has an overflow hidden for now. We don't need to make a lot of things about it. Then we have parent.avatar. We can give float left, and then we can give like a width 50, height 50, and give like a border 1px solid hash ccc. Then we've got this parent. By default, it gets baseline aligned. So we have a text here which says float left again, and we'll give like width as say 300, and then we also need to give some heading, right? So for now, let's say Praveen here, and I'm just gonna change all these things to other names as well. So Amog, then who else is there? Lakshman. So these people, they actually messaged me here in the Zoom group chat. That's the reason I took these names. It's not that I'm hating others or something like that. So let's say we have all these things. Now inside the text, what I'm gonna do is quickly, um, for the H1, I'm gonna do a font size of 1.1.2 EM so that it looks better. So there is no margin top, and yeah, so this is looking good. Then let's give some padding like here, maybe 0 and 10, so it has some space. And we can also do like oh well, I'll just do a padding 10, and then I'll give a quick border as well. So since we gave the border to avatar, we can actually give the same border to this guy so that it looks like this. And we can also give margin left 20, so it gives you a good differentiation. And for the text, I can give margin bottom 20 as well, so that it gives you some space. So this is almost similar to what we generally see as like, um, comment box or something like that. So this way, this is a commenting box, right? So this is how a comment box works. And if I do a display inline blocks, so you can see that these are the people who have actually commented here, and I can actually get rid of this margin bottom so that it looks good. So this is one of the best use case for using our floats. So uh, any questions for this one? Like, the syntax for which one? Smriti, do you want to unmute yourself and ask again? It's not actually formatting correctly for me. Okay, so right now what I did is I don't even remember that. Okay, let me copy this one in case I screw up anything. So look at this. This is what I used to become this one. So at this point, I've got like something like a parent. Inside the parent, I have an avatar, which is this. Then as a sibling of the avatar, I have this one, a text. By default, all these things will be in div. And then inside the text, I've got a h1 and the paragraph, which is what I gave here, text h1 and the paragraph, which contains some lorem ipsum, this filler words. And with that being said, I'm repeating this whole element thrice. So that's why you have got 3 times here. That's the syntax, and I can send this to everyone. So that's about float. We saw what floats are, how floats work, how to clear floats, then what is the best use case of floats, and yeah, what are all the problems will come when we use overflow hidden or when we use another div to clear the floating elements. So those kind of things we saw today. And we also brushed up what we were doing last time with the display block, inline block, inline, by default is inline, etc. And finally, we will be also going through the next session, which is gonna be more about how positions work. Positions are really advanced topic at this stage. So they have a lot of what should I say? Positions are like, you can use positions to do a lot of things in browser, but at the same time, when you try to do something, uh, it might be different every time when you change the position. Like for example, every time when you change the device, for example, I'm using this kind of a device, someone would have used a big tablet or something like that, and those kind of things, those times the position might not work as expected, because Positions generally go with the relative pixels. And obviously, whatever we are working on, they're all fluid based contents, right? So during those times, positions might not be the right thing. Any questions so far? Like we can take like last 5 minutes or 4 minutes for few minutes for any questions if you have got. Are any hosts are around? Anyone from InternWell team right now? Okay, looks like hey Raghav. Okay, Raghav is here. All right, Raghav. I was just
Came back
looking at
again.
if there is anyone at all. Any
There
questions,
was some
guys?
internet.
Sorry.
There were some internet connectivity issues.
Okay. Avatar can be either floated to right or maybe text can be floated to right. I thought of like using this way. So if I try to float the avatar to right, it's just the way, like there's nothing hard and fast rule here. So the same way I can use a margin right here. So that does that. I mean, where does this kind of way? Sorry. I haven't shared my screen. Sorry. So yeah, I've just changed it to like avatar floating to right. But where do you see this kind of a floated avatar generally? Like I have seen, for example, in Facebook, we see the flow avatar is on the left side. Um, in WordPress, the avatar is on the left side. You tell in anything, even Twitter, the avatar is on the left side. LinkedIn, the avatar is on the left side. All right, no problem. I mean, I still think no, I don't know. I haven't seen any place where the avatar is on the right. That's the reason I just went around and added this one. Maybe there could be custom designs where the avatar is on the right side. So that's possible as well. Any other questions? Okay, so Lakshman. Avatar is the display picture, brother. So obviously you use an avatar to present yourself, right? So this is not exactly your world. Facebook is not yours, or Twitter is not yours. So generally people use avatar as the name synonym for using like it's just a name given to it's just a name given. There is no significance of it. That's it. It's like a logo for yourself. Yes, that's right. So this is something like a logo for yourself. You're right. And by the way, avatar is from obviously either Sanskrit or it's definitely originated from India. That actually asks me to ask this question. So what is avatar? And maybe Wikipedia. So I told you, right? Avatar is a term in Hinduism for material manufacture, whatever. So this is avatar is also known as user pic is the graphical representation of the user or user's alter ego character. So it's almost similar. So I believe this is coming from India. Origins, yeah, exactly. So that's it. Whatever I said is the right thing. It is actually originated from Hinduism with like the avatar, whatever it is, and something like that. Any other questions? Okay, guys. So have a nice day. Sorry about the quick rush that we had today, and moreover, I'm not sure why many people were not able to join. Maybe this is because of the peak time right now. So I'm happy to like extend the number of sessions or whatever it is. Like, yeah, I'll speak with Raghav or anyone and see how we can do this. And any questions, anything, just go ahead and ask me in the what do you call this? In Zoom, oh, sorry, in WhatsApp, and I'm always ready to respond as quick as possible. So see you all then. Have a nice day. Bye bye.